Happy New Year, everybody, and thanks for joining me. This is my last flight of 2017. It was over Lake Pleasant, northwest of Phoenix. That's our takeoff spot there, and this is my GPS track from Fly Sky High app that kind of tracked exactly where I went and how high I was and so on and so forth. Went over the west side of Lake Pleasant, and there's a couple places that I'll point out along this flight, but we got all the way towards the back of the lake, and I decided to turn around and come back from where I had originated from. Taka went on to fly on the east side of the lake, and then we met up around the front again, and overall it was a great flight. Hope you enjoy it.
You ready?
You can see right here, this is my launch spot, and there's only a couple balloons down there now, but previous to me launching there were 15 balloons. Taka was able to take off before I was, and before the balloons all started to inflate, and then I tried to take off, had a failed launch.
You what?
And that cost me more time, and actually cost me a lot more time because it took me 30 more minutes to wait for all the balloons to inflate and get out of the way, and then I was able to take off. I flew over one of these areas, which was the Canyon Speedway Park, which I thought was pretty cool, where they race like stock cars out of there, and also flew over a main area of the Central Arizona Project, which is like over 300 miles, built in the 1970s, which took water and distributed it all over Phoenix Valley, which I thought was pretty cool. It's actually kind of funny when you're flying around anymore. You're always looking for good launch sites, and so when I see them, I'm thinking to myself in the future, I'm gonna have to check that out, because sometimes it's hard to find a launch site in Arizona, and it's always nice to have a big open field or a big open area where you can launch from. So every now and then I'll see something out of the corner of my eye and think, hey, that could be a possible launch site, kind of like this parking lot. Just want to take a second to point out, kind of from Google Earth, where we are at this point. You can see the parking lot here as we get to this main area of Lake Pleasant. We still got a little bit more to go before we do a turnaround, but just wanted to mention a little bit about flying over water. It's a little bit sketchy for me. I don't have a water rescue system, which would inflate if I did hit the water and keep me from instantly sinking. So it's something always on my mind, and I'm always sticking kind of close to the shoreline, so if I have an engine out, I can make it over to the shore quickly instead of going down in the water. Probably one of the leading causes of deaths in this sport is drowning, because people are strapped in, and then when they hit the water, and if they don't have a water rescue system, then they sink instantly to the bottom. because they're strapped in and trapped. Probably one of the coolest things I like about flying is the perspective you get. And I came up over this area where you could see there was actually a roadway there. There's a path that leads from the big island onto that smaller island, and so obviously that was used by vehicles at one time, and probably still is if the lake gets really low. But you don't really get to see that when you're on the water or on the ground. You don't get to see those kind of things unless you're in the air. What you see right there in front of us is the main marina for Lake Pleasant, and I'll be flying over that in just a minute. To show you this really quick. Look how dusty my risers are, and my lines get all dusty from the desert. So all you guys flying and taking off in grass and landing in grass, count yourselves lucky. I wanted to mention something about this part of the flight. This was the longest stretch of water I was going over, and honestly I was a bit nervous about it. I mean, I have full confidence in my engine. I have a Nirvana, and it's always been reliable, and I love it. But you just never know what can happen. And I didn't have, you know, like I said, a water rescue system. So I was flying kind of high so that I knew that I could either turn back around and hit the shoreline or continue forward and hit the shoreline. But it's a strange feeling, and I would love to have flown lower, but I just didn't feel confident enough to do that yet. Plus, my wife would kill me if I died. So
something good is coming up. Free like a bird, but also bound up. And my footsteps on the ground. I raise my head, listen to the sound. I'm happy with what I have found. Just breathe, just breathe, just breathe, just breathe.
So this song is actually pretty applicable at this point, because I was hitting a lot of turbulence that was coming off of the mountains and the landscape, and I turned around a little bit and I thought, well, maybe I should follow Taka. He continued forward, but he was a lot higher, and I thought, well, maybe it'll be less turbulent if I turn around and come back from where I came. But and I was trying to figure out if I was going to follow Taka or not, but I decided, because of the turbulence that I was experiencing, to turn around and just kind of go back where I came from. In those moments, you really have to just breathe and let things go, and just trust your wing, and just let the wing fly. And it does. It will fly by itself. But hitting turbulence is really never fun, and you can't really even see it in the video, but you can definitely feel it in the seat.
Good advice, the hell is waiting for me at sunrise. I'm in the prison, open doors, 10 directions on the floor. I lose my mind, lose my sight. Tell me how I'm gonna win this fight. Just breathe, just breathe.
So that pretty much wraps up the flight over Lake Pleasant, the last flight of 2017. Here I meet back up with Taka. He was coming in from the east and I was coming in from the west. We went back to our landing zone, and there were still a ton of balloons around, which you'll see throughout the rest of the video. Stay tuned for more videos as they come throughout the year, and I want to keep sharing the experiences that I have. Wish I could take everybody up with me.